What's up, everybody? I'm Jason Visenberg.
And I'm Michael Visenberg.
Welcome to Viseland. Big, big episode today. We have a lot to cover, but first, let's talk about what's going on right now. We just had a Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, third time.
Yes.
Three
And
trails. It's Mutombo and Ben Wallace with four,
mhm,
and then Rudy is like in that next cog with a three. So pretty.
yeah. Dwight Howard must have won around three, right? Or didn't he win three in a row?
I believe so, but that's not the four.
Yeah, that's true.
So Ben Wallace coming in the Hall of Fame next year. But yeah, like Reining and Rudy obviously still has the potential to keep going for a couple more years at the same clip. And
It may depend on how Utah does in the playoffs, honestly. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
well, I'm actually it's funny because I'm reading a Ben Golliver's book Bubble Ball, which
Mhm.
I highly recommend. Get that at your local book emporiums. But yeah, it's interesting because yeah, he talks. He like the first thing he did when he got to the bubble is he wanted to interview Rudy Gobert to kind of talk about. And it's just yeah, it's like one of those things. Like at the time, like obviously he did some things he regretted, but kind of like he wasn't the sole reason the NBA, like the NBA was going to shut down anyway.
Yeah. It just like the way it all went down and
Yeah, it
the
didn't
way
have
he handled it was like just
stupid.
ridiculously. Yeah. The stupid is the best way to put it.
But yeah, but he didn't, like it was inevitable. It wasn't like everything else around it was going to shut down. The NBA would keep like if it wasn't Rudy Gobert, it was going to be some other guy.
Yeah, but if something inevitable is about to happen and you're like a giant freaking idiot right before it happens,
Totally. Like
it's still pretty easy to make you a scapegoat.
I'm pretty sure like whoever the second player in the NBA to catch COVID wasn't like at a press conference like 2 days earlier touching all the microphones intentionally because he didn't care.
Like Donovan Mitchell because he caught it probably because Rudy Gobert is his teammate.
Probably, yeah. I gotta tell, yeah, like they all travel together, private planes, locker rooms, practice. Like, yeah, sports isn't conducive to that kind of thing. But that's why if you get a chance, read Bubble Ball because it's super interesting look at the NBA's decisioning going into it and just yeah, like what life was like in it for journalists, referees, players, just support staff, everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty
Read Ben Golliver just in general.
yeah, excellent, fantastic writer. Definitely covers the game pretty well. Pretty much, yeah. And what he talked about, like if he didn't go to the bubble, it would have been like the first final he'd missed in like a bunch of years, like that he hadn't been able to attend. But yeah, and then the big news is Nikola Jokic getting his first MVP.
Yeah.
Did you see his warm up shirt tonight? That we're recording this.
Was it Bobby Hill? Because
no,
that's been lately.
It's basically all these kind of things about Nikola Jokic that people might say like not in shape.
Oh man, like one of those
non-athletic
tolerance kind of things yelling at it.
Yeah, basically like all those things that like people would say like, oh, I hate Nikola Jokic, he's overrated. And then on the back it says jokes on you, and it's like Nikola Jokic kind of with like the Joker like with the Joker face paint and it's like MVP on it. It was pretty awesome. I don't know if they're gonna
cool.
This is warm up. I don't know if it's for sale, but like out of spite, I kind of want to buy it. It's a pretty cool shirt.
Well, I absolutely like, we when we did our awards predictions had Jokic, had Rudy Gobert. So not very surprising there. We were wrong, I think, on almost every other award, perhaps maybe not LaMelo Ball, but
that hasn't been named yet, but like
yeah.
But,
LaMelo's gonna win.
But yeah, like Clarkson, I think Clarkson, I feel like I definitely didn't have him preseason.
We gave we did give him
Clarkson. Mid-season, like Clarkson came in, like he definitely wasn't in our preseason picture, but like Jokic was up there.
Oh yeah, well, just when we did an awards.
Yeah, we did the mid-season, and then it's at that point you knew like Clarkson was having himself.
We had Jokic win MVP. It wasn't a surprise. I felt like it should have been a relative landslide, and it was. Somebody gave Derrick Rose a first place MVP vote.
Well, apparently that was like some weird like fan conglomerate thing of like enough. And I again, I don't know how the physics of that worked, but yeah, like it wasn't an actual reporter because that person would be immediately fired, or it's someone who just can't.
How in the world would a fan conglomerate thing come up with Derrick Rose? Were the fans just in New York?
Or his friends and
And
family.
then why wouldn't they get Julius Randle?
Yeah, I don't like
Who, by the way, was like one above Derrick Rose in MVP voting, just because I'm like, I guess the 5 point from his first place vote would have been like the only vote he got. I hope to God, but yeah, it's just it was wild. But nonetheless, Nikola Jokic, fantastic season. It looks like this tonight, it's June 9th. They are playing the Phoenix Suns, and they got absolutely buzzsaw tonight.
Yeah, Chris Paul.
You can't blame Nikola Jokic for that, but
no, it's funny. It's a depleted roster. They missed a lot of different things, especially Jamal being out, and obviously like Jeremy Grant last year. They different moving pieces, but Phoenix is like killing it. After that game one against the Lakers, when Chris Paul went down, you're like, oh no, Chris Paul is gonna be hurt. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be a tough playoff. And then now it's
he really came back. Yeah, he looked good. 15 assists, no turnovers.
Like that's why he's like I think
had a number of those games in his playoff.
Like double-digit assists, no turnovers, and just Devin Booker. And tonight they beat Denver badly, and nobody on Phoenix played more than 30. I think like Booker played like 33 minutes. Like every other starter played less.
Looking good. They're looking good. Second round playoff series are looking pretty good. Obviously Philadelphia and Atlanta now 1-1. Utah and the Clippers had a fantastic first game. Was not able to watch that because I was on an airplane all yesterday. But as far as the Nets Bucks, it hasn't been overly close so far.
Yeah, and you really have to wonder what happens here if the sweep goes through for Brooklyn, because
we'll see.
Milwaukee's definitely got to like look internally a little bit, because this is the second year in a row.
Oh, definitely. Well, and obviously they tried to make an upgrade, and like the consensus seemed to be that they looked like a better team this year. Even with the worst record, they were more ready for the playoffs. They had kind of a different look. Losing Dante DiVincenzo hurts, obviously. I'm saying obviously a million times again, but he is that shouldn't be something that completely like sways the series when we're another, especially against a team that lost James Harden.
Yeah.
So
the pendulum is definitely.
And health, obviously, health is a huge part of a great playoff team, but it shouldn't. Milwaukee may need to look in a different direction.
And then we'll see. There's a lot of coaches already on the carousel. Portland fired Terry Stotts. Indiana's got the Boston's got a vacancy.
Yeah,
a lot of names going to be floating around. So definitely
with Steve Clifford, he's gone.
Oh yeah, Steve Clifford got fired in Orlando. Yeah, like a lot of interesting, names. So we'll see obviously what happens once coaching hires come out. But the reason Michael, he's saying something like obviously he's might be a little tired is because he just spent the last few days. Let's let everybody know what you were up to.
Yeah, so my birthday was on Sunday, and I had a very nice present in that I had the chance to go to a camp that I have been wanting to go to for years and years, have been following, reading about, and it was a fantastic experience. The camp usually is in Long Beach, California, and this year it was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it is called the Pangos All-American Camp. It's run by Dinos Trigonis, and it has been going on since 2003, I believe. And what this camp really brings together is a number, like a really huge number of some of the top seniors, like rising seniors, so players who are soon to be seniors in the current junior class, 2023 class. There were a handful of 2024 class players there, and they even had one pretty special 2025 player who, like, quite amazingly didn't look out of place. And yeah, but this camp has produced just like a giant number of NBA alumnus.
Yeah,
And
pretty much who's, you know, who's usually like between this NBA PA, you know, 100, it's like those are kind of the two of the more elite camps that really get the guys. And also this is the kind of thing where, yeah, it's not college, you know, recruiting. You know, it helps recruiting rankings because obviously this is where people, you know, generate some buzz, but there's no coaches there. But it is a place where NBA personnel are already there, you know, looking at a couple years ahead.
yeah, well, and then the other thing is that while college coaches weren't allowed, it's a dead period right now, and college coaches were not allowed. You're very correct. But the games are still being streamed, and there are just a number of writers from all over the country, a number of scouting services from all over the country, including Pro Insight, who sent me there. Big thanks to Matt McKay. Also, really huge thanks. So with 105 players, the best possible way to cover this event is to have a team and run things by everybody there. And I had a fantastic team. I had Conrad Chow and I had Tyler Glazier, and always fantastic to have a helping hand from somebody that I admire very greatly, as I think like one of the top recruiting analysts out there, and that's Andrew Slater. And I don't want to like keep going on about media members and names there. I met so many fantastic people this weekend, and it saw so many, like, you know, friends that I loved seeing again and hadn't seen in almost 2 years. But yeah, just incredible basketball minds there to watch, an incredible group of talent. So yeah, like the thing that I wanted to focus on, of course, is the players. So yeah,
definitely we would
we'll definitely get into it. And yeah, there were some great players there. I just wanted to bring up the 2019 Pangos All-American Camp, some of the cream of the crop game selections. The MVP of the cream of the crop. So they have a top 30 game and the top 60 game. And in 2019, the MVPs of the top 30 game were Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley, who are the favorite to go 1 and 2 in the NBA in the 2021 NBA draft. You had Paulo Banchero, who's one of the top players in the high school class of 2021, Scotty Barnes, Josh Christopher, Musa Cisse, rest in peace, Terrence Clark, Musa Diabate, Jaden Hardy, who just committed to G League Ignite program. Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga, who's set to be a lottery pick. Moses Moody, who's a probable lottery pick. Dyson Nix, who was in the G League Elite program. Yeah, it's just a who's who of some fantastic talent. JT Thor also was part of it, from Auburn, and he is a likely NBA draftee. And yeah, just you see this every year at the Pangos All-American Camp. So this year, I think it was like a little different. I can't say that the talent was like enormously down, but they may not have gotten all of the top players that they had wanted to. There were some like kind of well, some still had high school seasons going. For instance, a player that I would have loved to have seen is Mookie Cook, who did take a visit to Oregon, but also had a game this during the camp.
Oregon, Washington. I know their high school basketball is still going on right now.
Yeah, and Amari Bailey wasn't able to go, one of the top players in the high school class of 2022. Yeah, Mikey Williams, Kason Wallace, Shaden Sharp, a lot of players that I would have loved to have seen that weren't able to go. But yeah, let's talk about some of the top players that were able to go, because it was just a who's who list of some of the best talent in high school basketball.
Let's go for it. Yeah, who are some players that really kind of stood out to you?
Okay. Well, thank you for asking, Jace.
It's gonna be a list.
Yeah. Um, uh, like as far as a list of guys, let's just start with the top ranked guy who's there, and a guy that you like pretty much knew was going to win MVP. He obviously needed to play to win it, and he did, and he's such a first off from it's Jalen Duren, and Jalen Duren, originally from Delaware, played high school basketball in Philadelphia his first 2 seasons, and last year played with Montverde. And he is 6'10", has about a 7'5" wingspan. I think he's just really worked on some of like the nuances of the game. After the first 3 days, he was the assist leader in camp. He had a great first night, which I was able to see. And then he had a game on the second day where he went for 18 points and 18 rebounds. And he had a game where they narrowly lost their last 2 games. He was with Duke. And he was the leading rebounder in camp. He was the third leading assists, and one of the top scorers. His Duke team was like a really good team, and I felt like they kind of underachieved by losing those 2 games.
Similar to the real life Duke this past season. So
yeah, well, they won their first 2, and then narrowly lost like their second 2, and he obviously wasn't playing, or he wasn't playing the amount of minutes you would have probably hoped, but still doing very, very well.
And again, like a lot of these situations too, it's also like not like a cohesive team of guys he's practiced with.
He certainly has a few guys that he's familiar with, but absolutely correct. What I will say is, for that being a factor and like the lack of cohesion, they really did keep the ball moving, and it was pretty great. Like, and I didn't see too many guys dogging it on defense. Like, for a camp that has all these players who might be playing together for the first time, it was some quality basketball. Like, certainly sloppy. The thing I was really impressed with too is the amount of shooters there. Like, it wasn't like people were like, even so the big men were really the players that stood out there. Like the top players in the camp seem to mostly be bigs, which kind of worries me to an extent as we see how the NBA is going. But very skilled, playing very hard. And so Jalen Duren is somebody who is among the top players in high school class of 2022, has been ranked second like pretty much the entire time behind Imani Bates. Actually plays with Imani Bates, or has played with him for a few camps with Team Final, which is one of the most like ridiculously stacked AAU teams I can remember. There will be another player at this camp from that team that I need to talk about. But yeah, Duren, he lived up to the billing. Like, he's just, the 6'10", like really wide athletic build, 7'5" wingspan, really great hands, has an ability to play above the rim, has an ability to block shots, and then showed some, he stepped out a bit. He made a few 3-pointers. He made some turnaround jump shots. I know that in like youth competition, he hadn't shot free throws exceptionally well, and I think he's kind of worked on that too. So yeah, he just brings a lot to the table that you really like. I really liked his ability also to like move defensively, and then fantastic rebounder as well. Just a guy who is of that size that makes like the quick decisions that he does, very rare. And
do you feel like college is in his future? Or do you feel like that's like a straight up professional?
So according to Jalen, it seems like colleges are going to really have to win him over. He did announce like a top 11, but I think the last team was the G League Ignite, And I know that G League Ignite and Overtime Elite were certainly presents at the event. I thought Amen and Osir Thompson were going to be there, but yeah, they signed with Overtime Elite and were not at the camp.
You're already professional.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I feel like Jalen Duren certainly is somebody that the professional path would really work well for. And yeah, I'm really interested to see what he'll do next. But he did win camp MVP. There were a lot of really good candidates, but none as highly ranked as him at the camp. And that may have won it over for him. But yeah, certainly he played really well during his time there.
Nice, awesome. Well, sorry, college basketball fans. We'll not get to probably.
Yeah, possibly. I still don't know for certain. So
no, for sure.
I just know that he said to college coaches, like, they really have to impress him to get him to come to campus.
Yeah, sounds like somebody who's not gonna go to college.
Sure. Hey, reading between the lines.
Yeah. But good luck if your school is in the top 11.
Let's talk about a player that won the top 30 game, cream of the crop game, main game. He was co-MVP, and his name is Bay Fall, and he is closing in on 7 feet, really skinny, but the movement, athleticism, and energy that he brings to the game, I was immediately impressed. It just seemed like he was always around the ball, has a really soft touch around the basket. He even took some jumpers as well. The jumper may not look beautiful, and he may be kind of more of an energy guy, but he is in the high school class of 2023, and I felt like one of the top 2023 players there. Certainly ranked very highly in that class. He's like a high major plus guy who I think all the top colleges are going to be after.
And when you say really skinny, are you talking like he's kind of more of a 4 because of that versus like
I think that's kind of what he's going for. Yeah. But at the same time, like I feel like he certainly can build on his frame, and I think ultimately, like with so many of the players there, that is like the funny thing with like high school basketball too, is the amount of players they say are big wings, or like 4s who have like center size. So many of them are players that you would rather just play center or play power forward.
No, totally. That's always kind of the thing. It's like, it's great that you're 7 feet and can do all those things, but at the end of the day, you're the closest one to the height of the basket.
Yeah, and providing that versatility is fantastic. If you're able to do both, like I'm not ruling out that they may be able to do both, but his best position certainly you would think would be the 5, just with that skill set. But I could see him having the ability to do both. He's just that kind of a fluid of a mover, and I didn't see like a ton of like him taking guys off the dribble or anything like that. It was more like just making really good cuts, or being in good position to score around the basket. But he his stretch in the cream of the crop top 30 game where he had a couple like really nice transition dunks, and I think he did finish the game with 26 points, which that's the game with everybody. His team won by they ended up winning by I think 32 or something like that. Bayfall was somebody that immediately, like, just his activity level was something that really stood out. And then another 2023 shared the cream of the crop game MVP with him, and that is Javante Taylor, JJ Taylor, out of Illinois. And he is about 6'7", 6'8". he's like a really good slasher. And there were just a number of times during the camp where he finished above the rim. Like you could throw lobs to him, but he the thing that stood out about JJ was his ability to play without the ball, to make cuts, and somewhat handle in transition. I didn't see a ton of shooting from him. That was just me, but yeah, I really liked his athleticism, and when he was focused and could give energy, like he did in the cream of the crop top 30 game. Looked like a possible winner. He had a brother that played at Marquette, Stevie Taylor. And
for him, are you talking high? You're thinking high major?
Yeah. Well, he is one of the top players in 2023. Like both he and Bay are like more than likely going to be McDonald's All-American level guys once they get to their senior years.
Next season, nice. Were there any others like good siblings?
Oh, players of siblings?
Yeah, like younger siblings making their own path.
Man, that was
I know the one for 2025 we talked about earlier today.
Oh yeah, well
that's not a basketball.
That's a different sport, but yeah. We could bring yeah, because to me, this guy, it's amazing because almost everybody at this event was either born in 2003, 2004. You had a few born in 2005. Didn't see too many born in 2006, if any. There was a player that was born in 2007. And he had not only did he like not look out of place, like he looked like he could still very young features, but like just body wise looked like he could be a junior or senior. And that is Koa Pete. He's from
Andres Pete, former first round NFL draft pick, currently of the new. Well, he was drafted by the Saints. Currently, the Saints played college football at Stanford.
I believe his father played football as well.
Andres is a big guy himself. I think he was like 6'7", 6'8". I remember when Oregon recruited him for football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6'8", 316 is what the Saints currently list him at. So
crazy, man. Well, Koa, I feel like Koa has a basketball body. Like, he for as much as I'm sure he could be a fantastic football player, and I'm guessing, in high school, maybe he'll take a stab at that as well. He can really play ball. He's got good hands. He can step out and shoot a bit. Certainly has some confidence as well. Had a game where he put up 20 points. Do not believe he made either cream of the crop game, but certainly didn't look out of place there.
I mean, youngest player there, but yeah, definitely, he's from Arizona as well. So definitely Pac-12 fans keep an eye out on him, because that's guessing a name you'll probably see in the recruiting rounds in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah. They list him at 6'7". I feel like he's closing in on 6'8".
Yeah, that's at like 14 or 15.
At 14 years old.
Yeah. That's
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Dinos has gotten players like going into high school before, and usually they stand out or they end up becoming really good. I remember like a young Tyler Dorsey, a young Cassius Stanley, players like that. And Koa Pete certainly looks like one of those. So definitely a player to track in the high school class of 2025. Still obviously a lot of time
left. Yeah.
So he finishes high school, but yeah, he was a very nice addition, and fit right in.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Amazing.
I could have been 220 pounds in high school myself, but it wouldn't have looked good on a 5'1".
Well, you were also like 4'7".
Yeah. No, totally. Well, that's why it's just crazy to think of like you're at that level playing against other dudes that are pretty grown.
Yeah. Indeed. A guy that I need to bring up because he just somebody like immediately just even looking at him, I felt like I was like, this guy kind of like moves around like he's a wing, like not even with the ball or anything, like not even playing basketball.
Just how he walks.
And yeah, just how he moved, how he looked, just that level of coordination. And he played that way as well. And that was Vincent Iwuchukwu. And what Vincent ended up doing is he was led the camp in scoring and was second in rebounding. Yeah, just a fantastic camp from Vincent. The other amazing thing is he not only did he like have crazy confidence in taking 3-pointers, but he shot 15 of 15 from the free throw line as well. Like definite touch there. Yeah, just loved his movement ability, his energy. He had a game where he had 5 assists as well. So, showing some ability to read the floor. He's going to La Lumiere. He's of Nigerian descent. Just seems like a great kid as well. So yeah, just he was one of the standout prospects, I would say, this weekend. Really opened my eyes. It was my first time seeing him in person. And yeah, he was certainly one of the more productive players.
What is his collegiate kind of outlook?
Yeah, so Vincent right now, I want to say he's ranked fairly highly in the class of 2022. May not be high enough. So right now,
he's got the summer
funny because 247 composite has him 24, and 247 has him 41. They say right now Baylor seems to be his top school, which would be a tremendous get for them once again. Also has Kansas, Purdue, TCU, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech around his top schools. Was a Texas guy. So yeah, he is somebody that really, he was one of the top standout players from this weekend as well.
And was he someone you hadn't really heard much about, or was it a combination of just hadn't really seen him at that point?
It was not having seen too much of him yet, but also the fact that he played just excellent basketball, and he's a guy that can play inside, can step out, and has defensive potential. Not to mention the movement, agility, coordination, that are things that you really want from a modern center.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's crazy that there are these big guys that are coming.
I know, man.
I know you think it's kind of worrying. On one hand, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This is what the new crop of centers is gonna look like.
I need to mention another center too, because this guy I feel is severely underranked as well, and that's Derek Lively. And he plays with Jalen Durrett for team final. Plays at Westtown School, which was the school that Cam Reddish went to, and Mo Bamba produced a number of good players. Derek is how they say somebody's a legit 7-footer, and they may not be a legit 7-footer. No, Derek is legit. He's 7'1", maybe 7'2", and just great coordination as well. And I felt like he was one of the better rim protectors at the camp. And then he certainly he had some ability as well. He had some ability to stretch the floor. I honestly wished in the game I saw that was between he and Iwuchukwu, they were kind of matched up a little more. But yeah, Derek is somebody who I hadn't seen a ton of either. Was very glad I got the chance. He's 35 in the national composite right now, and he is one behind Vincent Iwuchukwu in the 247 rankings. And I know these guys are centers. I know the value of centers may not be as high as it used to be, but these guys certainly provide some value in terms of their defense and then potential as offensive players.
No, you still need guys. You still need big people to protect the rim at the end of the day.
It still helps, and especially if they're switchable.
Yeah, and they're if they're not, a complete defensive liability, kind of keep up enough. That's that's what the bar is at. It's just like the days of that kind of like more lumbering, to put it like politely,
Yeah, yeah,
type big dude who could, who just posts up like, yeah, not as many of those.
yeah. Not that they still may not provide like certain value as well in like limited minutes,
Oh,
but
there's still a few in the NBA, not to name a lot of names, but like,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, you'll see, there's certain series where it's like, you do not play this player because
Mhm.
they cannot match against this other
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
So it's like, it's that very like game to game sort of strategy of like, depending who you're playing, like you might be completely useless, even though you do possess a pretty good skill set. It's just not as valued anymore.
oh, what was I going? Why?
Were there any like point guards that you felt like were really capable of being kind of that elite floor general type?
Um, hard to say as far as that distinction,
Well, I think
but
again, those games, again, they tend to be a little bit sloppier. It's hard to, you're not going to have a Chris Paul 15 assists, no turnover with people
yeah,
played with, and when
I there were certainly some good guards there with quite a bit of potential. I like one of the top guards to me was a player committed to Villanova, Mark Armstrong, and just loved his change of pace. Loved that you could set a high screen and roll and get him moving downhill, and he could either take a pull up shot. He even had some ability to jump off of his left foot really well, and made like a crazy throwdown in transition. I know his individual team during the weekend, which was I believe UCLA. They kind of struggled, but he was a very like he lived up to billing to me. Like just looked really good. Looked like that classic Villanova guard.
Yeah, Jay Wright definitely knows how to get good
Yeah.
guards.
And like while like I see him more as like a scoring guard than like a like true floor general, he just has a lot of ability and was a really smart basketball player and somebody that his team relied on quite a bit. And then I thought the combination guard combo of Ricky Isaacs and Zion Cruz for Duke, that was the team at the camp. Both really stood out as well, just as guys who are able to score, able to facilitate. Zion, I think, is fantastic in terms of just getting into the paint and breaking down defense. Showed a lot as a shooter as well. And then Ricky is just such a steady shooter. Also, plays with a really good pace and makes really good decisions. He's usually a guy who you'll see with many more points than field goal attempts. And like just such a confident 3-point shooter at this point as well.
And what about as far as who is someone that stood out to you as just a dead-eyed shooter?
There was a player that really stood out there, and we Perspective Insight, we did superlatives, and my nominee for dead-eye shooter was this player, and that is who we chose. And he's committed to Vanderbilt. His name is Noah Shelby, and kind of a smaller guard, but just such a confident shooter, feathery touch, can do it in many different ways, and like just supreme confidence, and it was able to do it from or like score these shots from different angles. But
contested, like moving off ball versus.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, just all the above.
And how how would you say, like, in your eyes, I mean, from going to things over the years, like, do you think the shooting has changed as far as like the shots that kids are taking and making on a regular basis? Because I feel like 10 years
Yeah.
ago, like 50, like everyone shot 3-pointers to an extent, but now it's like that is the move, just like it is in the NBA. Not to the Steph Curry extent completely, but a lot more trigger happy players.
The number of players that were like able to make difficult pull-up jumpers or just had confidence taking them was pretty huge. Like honestly, like um Osiah Sellers led the NBA or led the camp in 3 games. He had 12 3-point field goals, average 4 a game. You had Alex Caravan making a number of 3-pointers as well. He led the camp in terms of made 3-pointers. Arterio Morris, who was just really intriguing to me with his ability to shoot and then also like make plays around the basket, break down the defense off the dribble, play the passing lanes. He averaged 3.3 3-pointers per game. And yeah, a point guard that I actually kind of loved when I had a chance to see him. So it seems like more of a college guy than an NBA guy, but you never know. Can certainly work on some things. And that was Austin Nunez. I loved his confidence as a shooter. And then the fact that he was such a pesky on-ball defender and also like played really well off ball too. So he was somebody that definitely stood out when I watched him.
Does he have a college
Yeah,
destination?
just a number of guys like who had real confidence knocking down 3-pointers, and then a number who shot it at like a really high level also.
Yeah, it's kind of, yes, it's just a cool to see like the evolution of how it's all changed to get to this point of like confident shooter, like confident shooters at this young age still.
Yeah.
Like you look at the case of like, I mean, I think even Kevin Durant, like his first few years in the league, like, I mean, he was volume shooting. He wasn't like percentage shooting from 3.
Yeah, that could have been, well, part of it is like having the physical ability at the NBA level as well. And that will be the part that I think many of these players will need to work on.
That's all.
But yeah, just it's pretty amazing seeing all these guys like shooting this well at a high school event. Like it wasn't really something that I expected. And yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised at just how many of these players don't have like the major like shooting issue that one would think. Granted, on a very small sample size here, but yeah, just a lot of very confident shooters, a lot of really good shooters here.
Yeah, you can see like you see the mechanics of it,
Yeah.
to gauge that potential. But I mean,
Yeah.
good starting place. What about as far as like, were there any like just guys that were jumping out of the gym? Any huge, like what were the like those kind of moments where it's like,
Yeah. Well, there are many of those.
there's many of those at these events for sure, but like
A guy who I just need to mention him because he was maybe my favorite player there. I wouldn't call him like a jump out of the gym athlete, but certainly like made some plays above the rim. And that's Taylor Bowen. And he's a 2023, one of the top ranked players there. I feel like any team would be happy to have him. Just not only did he only took 6 3-pointers in the 4 games he played, he made 5 of those, so was playing really well. And then was able to do things in transition. Was really confident, like dribbling in space, maybe at times somewhat over dribbling, but he just seemed very confident. Like is a guy who I see with that ability to play on the wing and then just provide you versatility at other positions as well. And he really good athlete. I would say one of the best to me was Dylan Mitchell, and he was co-MVP of the top 60 game, and like about 6'8", 6'9", but the athleticism is really what stands out with him, like on both ends of the floor. Just really good energy as a defender also, but he can really finish above the rim too. And then a player who just like was kind of an effortless leaper as well was Chris Bunch. And he had a few, like he had 3 blocks at the camp, and I probably saw at least a couple of them that were like these crazy chase down blocks. And he had, ability to finish high as well. And One player, like just in terms of being kind of like an effortless leaper, given his size, was Adrame Diongu. I don't know, Adrame Diongay. I'm sure I actually, okay, a couple big guys. Adrame Diongay, who I felt just like even from a standstill was kind of it may have been length, but he certainly like could get up quite well also. And I thought that Johan Traore, who he played for Oregon during the weekend, and he was like one of the top rim runners at the camp and just could really get up, finish through contact. And then I would be absolutely like off my rocker if I didn't mention this last guy who just came to my mind, but he's another like special athlete, and that's Adem Bona. He's originally from Nigeria, spent some time in Turkey, played last season at Prolific Prep, has these super wide shoulders as well, but is just kind of one of those like effortless athletes, super strong, had a number of just fantastic block shots throughout the weekend, and certainly can finish above the basket as well, and just is very explosive.
Were there any other players that you could see like the NBA sort of personnel gravitating their eyes towards?
Yeah, I feel like it was Duran, it was Bona, it was Taylor Bowen. Yeah, Iwachukwu, I'm sure it was one that definitely caught eyes as well. Another guy I really liked, and I just see him as kind of like a role guy down the line, but a really good one is Jordan Walsh, and he's out of Texas. He to finish off the top 3 game where I felt like he had a great game there as well. He made an East Bay like to finish the game off. And he led the camp in steals per game. He is a fantastic passer as well. Like I just loved, like he was constantly eyes up, throwing the outlet, but was able to make other like kicks, and then even showed some shooting ability. So yeah, that's a guy who like kind of fits the wing mold a little bit more as well. And yeah, just want to make sure I'm not like completely missing out on somebody, because there were so many players there that it's kind of hard to go completely off the top of your head.
No,
Um,
no,
yeah,
totally. It's like it's just a good place to build a reputation, like for guys to kind of build their reputations up on the
most definitely, most
on the
definitely.
recruiting rankings, and then also again NBA draft starts to take shape, and you can see this for those who aren't as following it as much, it's years in the making. It's like they don't just see these guys like 1 month before the draft starts. It's like they're planting these seeds now of who are kind of going to be some of those guys.
Yeah, and okay, so a couple more who I would be remiss not to mention. You had Anthony Black and Keontae George, and they're both guards. They actually play for the same AU program out of Texas, and I like Anthony Black was somebody that I wasn't overly familiar with, but I think NBA people were definitely gravitating towards him, and it looks like he's going to move way up in the rankings as well. Keontae George is already somebody that is very highly ranked. I think he's 6 in the 247 composite. Just has a lot of flair to his game. Can certainly make some things happen off the bounce, get his own shot. I didn't feel like he had like necessarily the most consistent camp when I watched here, but certainly a lot of ability there. And yeah, he's somebody that I know was a possibility for either G League Ignite or NBL. And it looks like he's kind of leaning towards going to college now. But yeah, both of those guys, players that the NBA certainly looks to be gravitating towards.
one with these guys, and you mentioned some names of some guys that were from Nigeria. So like hopefully we'll see some Hoop Summit action next year on both the World
Really hoping. Yeah,
and US teams. So those are also names to keep in mind. These
definitely
guys.
a couple guys here who I
Yeah.
would love to see there.
Yeah, and Neil's like McDonald's Americans. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a good cycle this year where we get some pretty good summer circuit, and then you'll also get some good high school All-American type situations to see these guys yet again. And just for people that like aren't as familiar with the camp, how many games you get to take in?
So there are every player played 4 games. So you have like basically there's a practice session, and then that first night there was the practice session. Then you had 2 games, and they divide them into conferences. It's the Pac-12 and the ACC, and you have a few teams in each of those conferences, and or 6 teams in each of those conferences. And then the second day there were 2 games that were played from each of the conferences twice. So you play a total of 4 games, and then the last day they have each conference play another game, and then they have the cream of the crop game. Top 60 plays first, and then the top 30 is the final game.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of games in a short
Yeah,
amount. In
a lot of games, a lot of players. I definitely didn't see everything, but I feel like I got a pretty a good gauge on a number of players this weekend, and they just the way the camp is run, it's so well organized, and yeah, it was honestly like something that I would really love to do again, and I realize why so many people come to this camp and why it's so highly thought of after being a part of it.
Awesome. Well, hopefully it moves back to Southern California. But Vegas also hosts a lot of big basketball events.
Yeah,
Like
well,
massive
sure.
complexes.
And Pangos camps, like Dinos Trigonis has camps in all these other different regions throughout the country. And like, for instance, like Utah has a couple guys that made the top 30 game. Colin Chandler is somebody that I definitely need to mention. He's a fantastic athlete out of Utah. Jackson Kohler, both of those guys were at the Hoopsing West and Perspective Insight camp in Utah.
Yeah, we mentioned that back in October.
Yeah. Colin really opened eyes. Jackson was doing his thing and was able to, work from both. He's big time on the inside, but can stretch outside as well. Yeah, both of those guys put together great weekends and very deserving of being in the top 30 game. Colin had a couple finishes that were just hang time and English that left some people in shock and awe.
And if people want to go watch highlights, where would be the best place for that?
Ball Dogs is great. I know Baller TV has some things up, but if you type in Pangos Camp like I did today, I'm sure like Balls Life, Hoop Diamond, a lot of other people, and then Perspective Insight, I'm sure we'll put some things together as well. Hopefully with the help of Ball Dogs, and yeah, just a lot of great footage from that camp that I'm sure is that for one is out there, and then I'm sure we'll see more as time goes on.
Awesome. Well, it was super exciting that you got to go to Vegas, got to go back into a gym as well.
Oh, fun, yeah.
Pretty much like second time you've been, like I haven't stepped foot in a facility in close to like a year and a half. It's just good that we can get back out there. And then
one thing I also want to do is thank the NBA for letting NBA teams attend Pangos camp. I feel like it's something that hopefully usually happens, but I think that may have been one of the reasons why the intensity was up a little bit. So yeah, it's great to see scouts from NBA teams. They let one in per team. They did try and limit things, but yeah, I think that certainly helped with the intensity playing in front of that many NBA scouts.
Awesome. Well, again, these are names to keep in mind for both college recruiting and for the NBA. So you're going to be
Most definitely.
definitely hearing a lot of them again over the next, in the case of 2025, that's 4 years. So yeah, you'll definitely be hearing and seeing what else is kind of next up on your radar as far as NBA draft is concerned.
Well, next up, like as far as going on, like in the future, or
Yeah, well, as far as like I know the combine's coming up. I know
yeah,
Chris
the NBA
Duarte
draft
from
combine.
Oregon, he
Yeah,
declined his invite to the combine, which some people think
yeah,
is not a
yeah,
first round promise.
yeah. I think that is probably true.
I
So
think he deserves it. Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
I saw Sam Vecini tweet that out. Yeah, very cool. But yeah, well, basically the place to find. I'm gonna have work coming out from this very soon. This week, as a matter of fact, and it will be on Perspective Insight. So definitely go to Perspective Insight. We have a ton of interviews coming out. We have some work that we're going to be, as far as written content, on the Pangos All-American Camp. And then we have tons of draft coverage coming out as well.
No, totally. So definitely Perspective Insight. And you can also, if you want to follow Michael for all the latest NBA draft happenings, that's at NBA Draft Mikey V on Twitter. If you want to follow me, I'm at Jay Visenberg. You want to follow the both of us at the same time? That's at Viceland. You'll get everything right there. If you're watching on YouTube, definitely subscribe, hit the like button. Sharing is super key and friendly as well. We're also on every podcast platform, so definitely drop us a review, hit subscribe. Mikey, anything else we want to leave the fans on?
The thing I want to leave the fans on is, if I forgot or didn't mention your name, it is no slight, and hopefully it will be in the article. So definitely check out my article at Perspective Insight. But yeah, believe me, I took notice of a number of players. I did not come into this Viseland with really a prepared list, so a lot of it was off the top of the dome. So yeah, just saw a number of fantastic players this weekend, and hopefully I shout out a number of them in my article. But very much appreciate you listening to Viseland. Jason, thank you for asking me about this weekend and for making this an episode. And yeah, we're just hoping to bring you some more great stuff in the next little while. Stay tuned, because we may indeed, we've been kind of pushing this, Chase. We may have our first guest very soon. So
yeah, guess.
Keep it in mind. Coming on it's on the way.
So stay tuned, and we will catch you all next time.